You are Locked On Cougs, your daily podcast on the Houston Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Park Rangers Locked On Coogs here, looking at some Houston Cougar basketball recruiting updates. We talk about Koa Pete potentially getting warmer on the Houston Cougars in the opening segment. Koa is a McDonald's All-American. A pair of Houston Cougars we'll talk about in a minute are also McDonald's All-Americans. But perhaps the most surefire thing I felt about a McDonald's All-American coming to Houston was Kingston Flemings, and he got snubbed. Now, as I look at these rosters and things like that, I will say that, obviously all 24 people selected are very talented. And I don't mean this in a way that necessarily disparages or upsets. And I don't want to say that any of these kids shouldn't feel like they've earned that right. But leaving Kingston Fleming off of the 2025 McDonald's All-American Game roster feels indefensible. And I say that because I, as of the time of this recording, cannot find any recruiting ranking service that has him ranked lower than the third point guard in the 2025 class. Some have him higher. I cannot find for the life of me on any recruiting ranking somewhere he is ranked below 22nd in the country in the 2025 class. Many have him higher than that. Yes, I do think that there's some other stuff going on at play here. I'm not going to beat around the bush a whole lot. There are a lot of guys on both of these teams that are committed to big blue blood programs. Houston just moved into the Big 12. There are a lot of guys in these high school All-American games that are, currently enrolled in more of the academy kind of places, the places that play on ESPN already and have kind of a national notoriety to them. Bluntly, both of the Houston Cougars that made the game are in those kinds of programs and have a more of a national following. I kind of get that, the vibe that was important here. I'd also point out that there are a handful of these guys that have, through, their own, I don't know how to put their genetic disposition. They're tied to NBA guys, right? And I don't mean to say that they aren't also good. Again, I think all 24 of these guys, it's a really talented class. Class 125 is a really, really talented class. But I don't look at any point guard in this group and feel like, you know what? I see what they did there. I mean, even the number one point guard in the class on some rankings, Darius Acuff, who is at IMG, 6'2". I certainly don't watch him and think he's definitively a better pick for that spot than Kingston Fleming, right? Kingston, if you're following along, is from San Antonio Brennan High School, has been a key target of the Houston Cougars for a long time, and good old public school kid from San Antonio, Texas, that is absolutely wrecking it. He's got San Antonio Brandon ranked in the top 25 in America. They've got 2 losses on the season after playing as national schedule as they could get put together in the pre-district season. They lost to a school named St. John's in D.C. and a school named DeMatha in Maryland. They beat Allen out of North Texas. Some people have them as the best public school in Texas. They beat Dynamic Prep, a prep school in North Texas as well. Beat schools from California, schools from the South, schools from all over, and it's all on the back of Kingston Flemings. It's all driven by Kingston Flemings running the point guard spot. Kingston didn't play Nike EYBL. He stuck with San Antonio Futures, a Puma club, right? He didn't play 3 stripes and that kind of stuff. He stuck with being a loyal athlete with his Puma club, and it feels like there's some politicking in this. Now, there also could just be, more familiarity, and I get that too. I don't understand how the national media could not have an understanding of what Kingston Fleming's doing. I think the biggest daunting thing here, though, was it feels like a lot of those academy type of folks had a real niche on this, right? And again, Houston's not immune to that. 2 of the 2 commits they had that are playing in this game are at those kind of schools. I'm not anti that at all. But those same academies, when Brennan was trying to schedule this as tough a non-conference or tough a non-district as they could, those academies and stuff typically didn't want to go to San Antonio and play Brennan. They didn't want. I mean, it felt like a lose-lose to them. What are we going to get out of playing a high school out of San Antonio, Texas, just a good old public school that so happens to have some good basketball players at it right now? If they beat the academy, it's the win of a lifetime for the academy, for the small school or the public school, and the academy looks embarrassed. If the academy wins, it's like you were supposed to, right? There's reasons they wouldn't do that. And honestly, I worry that kind of hurts here. And I know that Kingston is not necessarily like publicly going after anything himself. If anything, the response from Kingston Fleming has been very congratulatory to his future teammates, right? Like he is very much handling this much more bluntly professionally than I. I just think it's messed up. The kid is one of the best basketball players in this class and is splitting hairs if you're trying to pick other point guards ahead of him in this class. And no one has him below the third best point guard in this class. You got two teams of 12 people with at least 4 point guards on the board. You tell me what happened. It doesn't make any sense. I don't get it. And I think he's got every right to be upset. He'll never be outwardly upset. He'll just go into the bank of things that motivate him. He'll win a national championship at Houston, go be a top player in the NBA draft, and have a long career where this doesn't matter. But I think it's right and okay to be upset about it now because I think he got a little screwed. Now, a couple Houston Cougars that did not get screwed, we mentioned, are heading to the McDonald's All-American game. I want to talk a little bit about their games and kind of how they fit in with things in a moment. Before we get too far into that, today's show is brought to you by Intuit TurboTax as well. This message comes from Intuit TurboTax, and taxes used to be waiting and wondering and worrying if you were ever going to get any money back, and then waiting and worrying and wondering some more. And now Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives you your taxes, you and your taxes, their undivided attention as they work on your return, and we get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert will find you every single deduction possible, file every form, every investment, everything with 100% accuracy, all so you can get the most money back, guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. This is now what taxes are. Get an expert at TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live full service. Real-time updates only available in iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.